Arrays and hash. For a very concise version of arrays and hash, go to our CGI Programming 101. Excellent chapter if you already are a programmer. Otherwise, go to the ebook and get more detail. We're going to go over the class notes, and this will show us how to operate this in your own account if you're interested. You could copy and paste all of this into your own account and run it. This is actually a program. I'm going to run it from Pico. First of all, equal comment is the way to make multiple line comments in Perl. Everything from this point all the way to an equal cut will be commented out. It has to be equal cut on its own line and that string of characters exactly. So, arrays and hash variables provide the means to store and manipulate a list of values under one name, unlike the scalar variable that can only take one value. A list in Perl is represented with the following syntax. Anything in parentheses is considered a list in Perl. So here's one with individual items with double quotes separated by commas. You can of course also use single quotes, but remember that double quote allows a variable to return its value if you need to put a variable name here instead of a regular string. Also, you can use QW, which stands for quote word, which simplifies the process of entering lists by quoting its arguments automatically. So we can just say dog, cat, horse without a comma, but as long as it's inside of the QW. Now here's an array. The array has the @ symbol that designates this variable as an array. Now this is an initialization of an array. We provided a list on the right side of the equal sign, and every one of these entries is going to be an item in the array. And of course you can also provide the list as a QW function. The content of this variable can be now printed in this way. You can of course use a print statement, and now we're going to protect the @ here so it comes out in a printout. And luckily we can also print an array variable inside of a double quote. It's just a quick and dirty way of printing, and we're going to see in a minute exactly how it works. Notice we have an exit sign here, so if I run this program into another window right here, it will run. It says @array. We protected this one is colon, and here's the way an array prints out inside of a string. It's just every item is printed with separated by a space, and that's it. Very nice quick way to kind of see what's inside of your array. Now when you run this on your own account, then what you can do is comment these exit signs one at a time. So the next time the next exit will now be in effect. The format is crude, but at least we can see its content very quickly for debugging purposes, right? This is about this print statement. If you use single quotes, of course, it would not work. Let's go ahead and comment this out. We can skip this. Okay, next, let's skip this out. Elements of an array are individually accessed by an index in square brackets. Note that index 10 actually points to the 11th array element because index 0 accessed the first element. Hopefully you have already seen this in either the CGI book or the ebook. So now we are taking the array and we're going to so here's an example of accessing a particular index or element of the array. Square bracket 10. We're going to put the string 11 in it. Also notice that the array element variable now has a dollar sign instead of an add sign, and Perl does it this way because we're actually looking at only one item from this array. So this is not an array, this is actually a scalar variable at this point because we're only looking at one item of this array. Now we're going to print index 10 for array, and of course we can this is again one item of the array, 10. Print last item in the array. You can also print the last item of an array with a -1. And finally, we're printing the entire array one more time to make sure to prove that 11 is now in the 11th item of this array. We have an exit. We're going to go ahead and run that. Index 10 for array 11. The last item, you notice, also prints that item, and finally, the array is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all the way up to 11. So we have items 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's index 10, but of course that's the 11th item. And because an array is nothing but a list, we could also access an index to access the list. So take a look at this interesting other way to put it. Print statement. This print statement has parentheses, so we don't worry about this one right now. The next set of parentheses is the list. Here's a regular list with these items, and this can be replaced by the name of an array just as easily, but we do have a list, therefore it's an array. Therefore we can use the square bracket and the index to access this one. Do you know what this will do? Index 2, 0, 1, 2. Let's run it. And yes, indeed, we get mustard. Ranges of index can be used. And here we go. Dot dot 11 to 15. We are now inserting all of these items in those indexes. And we can go ahead and print that. Here we can print just two items directly using this syntax. Run. And the 11th and 13th elements, 12 and 14. And we have just added those elements. Here we are just introducing the for loop. It will come in handy before next week when we're going to study those in greater details. The first argument is a counter initialization. Be careful, it uses the semicolon as to separate the arguments. Then we have ending condition is the second argument, and the counter modification or incrementation is in the third. Perl uses block braces, open and close, even if you only use one line to execute. So always use block comments when you have a function such as a for loop. Note we can use array as the number of elements in the array. Note that the syntax is a string will display all the array content, but in this context it only provides an integer of the number of the elements in the array. Next, in the body of the for loop, find the function defined, which provide an intuitive way to check for array element contents. Notice the negation operator, the exclamation mark, used here and read as not defined. Let's take a look at this code. We're going to print the array before the for loop. Here it is in its crude way. Now we use the for loop. We used a simple variable I, as a lot of programmers use, I, j, k, l, and o, p, so forth. We initialize this to 0. The condition is I will run, this for loop will run as long as I is less than array. So here you see the name of this variable, but in this context it simply returns a number as we explained above. And here we're doing incrementing I every time the loop goes around. Now we're going to use an if statement, and here's an exclamation mark, not very clear here, but if not defined, this is a function, and we are providing the particular index for this array as the counter goes from 0 to the number of items in the array. We're comparing this item, we are providing this item to the function defined, and if it's not, then we're going to add a string happy to this particular array item. One thing I failed to mention is that we did in array 20 we put birthday over here, and while I'm here I'm go ahead and comment this one out. So between 15, remember we had an item in 15 and now we have something in 20, and we can do that in Perl. That means we have 5 items which are undefined at this point, and we're going to take care of that in this for loop right here. And while we are in the loop, at the same time we're going to print the counter, which is going to show us where we are, which element we are, or index we are in the array, and we're going to print now the new content of the array. Let's save and run the program. And array before the loop, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And you notice here we have some blanks, some blank elements here. Those are the undefined parts of this array. And now we are index 0, 1, 2, 3. And here we got to 16 to 19. And those were replaced by happy. Good. We're going to end this tutorial here. At least you know how to use it, and make sure that you go over every one of these. You'll have a push. Make sure that you try that command. Let's see, we have shift. Make sure that you try that out. Understand how that works. Unshift. We can sort an array using this simple. The sort has many other parts to it, but this is for now it will do. The splice. Make sure that you look at all these splice examples where you can actually delete or insert items right inside of an array. and the next we'll talk about a hash, and there will be the next video. Thank you very much.